Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this scene right here. So this ball thing comes through this tunnel, this sphere, and then it passes through this kind of like jelly-ish mesh over here and pops through, and then as it does, it changes color. So this is more of an intermediate level tutorial. I wouldn't recommend this for absolute beginners. I already kind of expect you to know a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about. So just keep that in mind if you try and follow this tutorial. If this is a bit too hard for you, you can check out some of my other things on YouTube that I do. By the way, for you who are on Patreon, I will be making this available like I do all of my Blender projects that I do on YouTube. So check that out. If you're not already on Patreon and you think you might want to support me on Patreon and check it out, I will put a link to that in the description below. Okay, so without wasting, let's just get into it. Okay, so when you see an open up in Blender, hit A to select everything, then X and delete. And then we're gonna go Shift A, get our mesh options, add in a torus. Come down here to our torus setting, go to the minor radius and type in 0.035 and hit enter. Now close this. So here we have our torus now. And we're gonna go to object and enable shade smooth. With that done, tab into edit mode. With all of these vertices selected, go R, Y, 90 and hit enter. So it's now rotated 90 degrees along this Y axis here. And then what we're going to do is deselect all these vertices, zoom in here, and we're going to go Shift Alt and click on this loop in the middle. So you can see, and go Shift D, right click to let go, then go Control F, and we're going to go to grid fill. Then come here to the grid fill settings and go to the offset and make it -2, and that's going to straighten that out. Then go S to scale it down a bit. Deselect it, then go Control Alt, click on here, still holding in Control Alt, just move around and just select all of the outer vertices, as you can see here, and then go E, S, and just scale them out, like so. Okay, and this is what we have so far. So tab out of edit mode quickly. Let's go Shift A, we're going to add in a plane, go S8 to scale it up. Grab this guy, go G, Z, and just move it up. We're going to move it up to here, and then we're going to go to our front orthographic view by hitting 1 on a number pad. And let's go Shift A, we're going to add in another object. So go to Mesh, add in a cylinder, tab into edit mode, go S to scale it down to here, then S, Z, and scale it down like this. Then we're going to grab this guy here, go ES, scale it in, and then E and scale that guy up. I'm going to tab out of edit mode, go G, Y, and move it over here to the side, like that. And what we're going to do is go and hit 3 to go into our right orthographic view. And we want to go and tab into edit mode. And we want to grab this vertice right here, this one right here. So go into your right orthographic view by hitting 3 on your number pad, and then go Shift S, and we're going to go cursor to selected. That's going to put our cursor here. Then we're going to go Shift Alt and click on these vertices. That's going to select this whole loop. Then we're going to hit F3 and type in spin. So just type in spin over here, click on the spin tool. And if you come in here, you can type in 90 and hit enter on angle. Okay, -90. So type in -90 and hit enter. And that's going to spin this 90 degrees along here. And then you can go E, Y, and just extrude this guy out. So go G, Y, just keep moving it. And what we want to do is go Z, go into Wireframe, and we just want to select all of these guys here, these vertices, and go G, Z, and just move them up to this middle line here. So you can see here, just roughly there, okay? Then we're going to grab these vertices here, go G, Y, just move them out to here, and then go E, S to scale them up to here, and then E, extrude this, and this is going to be the little thing that turns. Like that. So let's go into our solid view, and what we can do is grow the selection by going Control plus 2 times, and that's going to grow the selection. Then we can go P and separate this by selection. So this is now its own object. So if we tab out of edit mode, this is its own object. So let's tab into edit mode of this guy, and then Control Alt, select these edges, go Control B to add in a bevel and roll it once, your middle mouse wheel. Shift Alt, select this edge loop, go Control B and move your mouse, and then roll your middle mouse wheel to add in a loop. And then go Control R and roll your middle mouse wheel to add in 2 loops over here. Double click S, Y, and scale. Just so we have this object here, tab out of edit mode, go to your modifiers and give it a subdivision surface. Go to object and enable shade smooth. grab this guy here, go to Object, enable Shade Smooth, and also go and give it a bevel. Set the limit method to angle. Come down here and you can just decrease the size till that bevel looks right. So there we have that done. And we want to actually grab this guy and then holding Shift, select this guy over here and then Control J. So now this guy is joined to this guy. Okay, so we go R, Y, this should rotate along the Y along with it. Okay, so that's what now we have this thingamajig. And let's set up the little tunnels here. So let's go to our front, our right orthographic view by hitting 3 on our number pad. Then we're gonna go Shift A. Well, first of all, we need to move our world origin point back to the center. So go Shift S and let's go cursor to world origin. And now we can go Shift A, go to mesh options and let's get a cylinder. And let's go to our front orthographic view by hitting 3 on our number pad. Tab into edit mode and let's go R90 and hit enter. And then S to scale it down to about this size and then tab out of edit mode. Go back to your right orthographic view by hitting 3 on your number pad. Hit Z, go into wireframe and then go G, Z and move this guy up to the middle of this object here. And you can see this middle line here and this line in the middle. So just put that orange dot right in the middle there. Okay, that is really good. And then go into your front orthographic view by hitting 1 on your number pad. G, X, and move this guy over here. If you hold in Control, it's going to snap to the grid. And you can see here these grid spaces. So one cube width, another cube width, and then a third cube width, just like that. Okay, that's really good. And what we can do is tab into edit mode, B, box select these guys in wireframe view, and go G, X, and just pull them back to here. And then Shift Alt select these loops here, go E, S, scale to extrude and scale them in, and then E, and just scale that guy back. And tab out of edit mode, go back to solid view, go to your edit, add modifier, add a bevel, and come here to the angle, the limit method, make it angle, and go Control A and also apply the scale of this guy. Then if you grab the offset here, you can bring it down a little bit. So I'm going to go with something like 0.008, and I'm going to increase the segments. Go to Object, enable Shade Smooth, and also add another modifier, and that's going to be a subdivision surface. So let's minimize these two. And if you want to clean that up a bit, you could go Control R, add in a loop, double G to slide it, and that'll get rid of that weird shading over there. And you can do the same thing in inside, Control R, double G, and just slide it there. Okay, so here we have our tunnel, and we can very easily duplicate this one. So let's just first of all give it some material. So I'm going to go to my material settings here. I'm going to go new, call this Canon outer, and I'm going to just make it like a pink, make it fully metallic, and I can go to my viewport display and also just make it pink so I can see it's applied. And then what I'm going to do is tab into edit mode, go up here again, add in another little material by hitting plus. Then I'm going to go new and call this inner. And what we're going to do is select these inner faces. So if we go to our face select, hold in Shift Alt and click in the middle here, and that's going to loop select the inside. Go Control plus to go to selection. And then what we're going to do is assign that inner material. Tab out of edit mode, and let's give this guy some properties here. So let's go down, make it fully metallic, and bring the roughness in a little bit. So we'll mess around with that a little bit later, but for now we have these materials roughly applied. So go to your right orthographic view, or your front orthographic view I should say, and hit 1 on your number pad. Shift D, X, and move this guy to here, and then go R, Z, 180 and hit enter. And then just move this guy roughly about the same distance this side, so they're mirroring each other. Now let's add in a camera to our scene. So I'm going to bring myself to this view here. Go Shift A, I'm going to add in a camera. Then with my camera selected, I'm going to hit 0 on my number pad, go into camera view, then G, hit my middle mouse wheel and pull back to about here. Go to my camera settings, make sure it's set to orthographic. And we're going to go to our output settings and make the Y value here 1920, so it's a square aspect ratio. You can hit G here just to move your camera around, get a view that you like. And if you want to zoom in and out, you got to come to your camera settings, and you can mess around with this orthographic scale till you get something that you like. So I might just go with a value like this. grab this guy here, go GX, and just bring it a little bit closer to my Canon and try and match this guy here as well. But we want to make sure that it's not going to, if we rotate this, that it's not going to intersect. So just keep an eye on that. So just, doesn't have to be exact, just get it roughly in the ballpark. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm gonna look at my camera view. That looks awesome. So now let's give this a rough material for now, the floor, go new. Let's just give it a viewport display so we can see a material's been applied. And now let's work with this guy. So I'm gonna select this guy, go new, and I'm gonna add material, call it metal. Drag the metallic value all the way up and bring the roughness down to make it like a chrome. And then I'm gonna hit the plus to add another material, go new, and this one we're gonna call change, because it's gonna be the material that changes. Tab into edit mode, grab this one of these faces on here, go Control L, and apply that change material and go assign. And if you come here, you can just give it a temporary viewport display so you can see it's been applied. So I'm just gonna make it yellowish. And then we want to grab this pole here and just go click on here and go get that metal material as well. Okay, so let's just add our little ball. So I'm going to go Shift A, go and add in a mesh, add in a UV sphere, and then go to my front orthographic view, hit Z to go into my wireframe, and then S, and I'm going to scale this guy down and just go G and move it over here inside of my Canon. And just scale it, just put it in the middle here so you can see what I'm doing. And then go object and give it shade smooth and also give it a subdivision surface. And you can go to your right orthographic view as well if you want to just scale it and line it up with the inside of your Canon. So I'm just going to go with that. So it's nice and cozy in there. You can go GX to move it back a little bit more in there. And let's go back into solid view. So we have our sphere made there, and I'm just also going to give that a material for now. And this is going to be called change 2. So call it change 2. And just come in here to the viewport and just give it a material. So I'm just gonna make it green for now. So if you brought it out, you can see it's got a display color. So we can see a material has been added to it. Okay, so this is looking pretty cool. So now what we have to do is come here. And I probably didn't have to make this thing so it can turn, because it's just gonna be standing there still. But you can, if you want to make it a bit more advanced, you could make this rotate if you wanted to. But for now, I'm gonna select this guy here. I'm gonna go to my modifiers. I'm going to go to my shape keys, hit the plus, and then hit it again. That's going to create my first shape key. Then tab into edit mode, key 1 selected, go to my vertex select, and I'm going to select this middle vertex right here. Enable my proportional editing, and I'm going to leave it on smooth. Go to my front orthographic view. Then I am going to go and also enable connected only over here. Then go GX and move this guy out. And you can roll your middle mouse wheel to increase or decrease the effect it's having. So I'm going to go with something like that. You can just work on it, bring this in a little bit. So what you can do is tab out of edit mode with that one and come here to the value and just drag it all the way up to 1 so you can see that effect on key 1. And let's just quickly grab that sphere here, this ball, and go GX, just move it into here. And let's just see if that is roughly the right size. Okay, that looks like it'll work. So we can go object, shade smooth as well. And this will also give this guy a subdivision surface. So what does that look like? It looks like it looks. Just make it so it roughly looks like that ball could be pushing it. And then just move it back in there when you're done. So I think that's gonna work. So just mess around with the shape key, the vertices in here until it looks like something like that. And you can come also here to your modifiers, click on this, and that's just going to make it look a little bit nicer in your display. Okay, so that's really good. Come back to your object data properties and just drag this slider to a value of 0. So now is where we can get into our animation. Okay, so to get started with the animation, I'm going to wireframe, and let's just select this sphere here, and we're going to place it inside of this tunnel, just so enough so you can't see it. Okay. So I might just go GX and just move it back a little bit, maybe to about here. Okay, so it might be a little bit different for your scene depending on how you set things up, but I'm going to put it right there. And on frame 1, I'm going to go I and insert a location key. Then I'm going to drag this to frame 50. So I'm just going to quickly play this to see how many seconds that would be. Okay, so I think I'm going to come here to frame 50 In frame 50, I'm going to go G, X, and move this guy over here, just so it's in here, about here, and go I and insert a location on frame 50. So we should see this. It shoots out, and just box select both of these, hit T, and just make it linear as well. So it's one constant linear movement. So this is what we should see. Comes through like that. And now all we have to do is grab this guy here, and we have to come here to, and this might be a little bit different for you, but come to whatever frame it is where this ball is almost just touching it. You can hit your arrow keys if you want to go frame by frame. So for me, it's at about this point, 26, and I'm going to come here and make this, maybe back one more. And okay, so on this one, just before it intersects, on that for me, that's frame 25. I'm going to come to key 1, and I'm going to hit I over this value of 0. And then I'm going to move up a frame, and I'm going to keep moving up a frame, and I'm going to drag this slider value up till I can't see that ball, and then I'm going to hit I. Then I'm going to move up a few frames, and I'm just hitting my arrow keys here. And then I'm going to keep going like this. And it might be a bit different for you depending on how you set things up, but just keep doing this, and I'm going to hit I, and I'm going to keep moving up, and I'm going to keep dragging this value up and hitting I. Okay, and you can see at about here it can't go much further, it's already the value of 1. So what I'm going to do is add to this, if you've gone all the way up to 1, and then what you do is you move up 1 or 2 frames, and 1 or 2 frames in, you start pulling this back a little bit to about 0.5 and hit I, and then you drag it even a little bit more, a few frames up, maybe 1 or 2 frames up, and then drag it all the way down to 0 and hit I. So let's have a look at that. Okay, you see what I'm doing? So it just looks like it pops back into place like that. Okay, so that's the animation done for the scene, and we can probably take the end frames here and just make it something like 50 and hit enter, and that should be enough frames to make this loopable. Okay, that's really cool. I love that. So now what we have to do is come into our materials and do some animating. So what I'm going to do is, let's leave this guy at yellow. So let's go to our shading here, and let's go into our camera view here, go Z and go rendered. Go to your render settings here, just make sure it's an EV, enable ambient occlusion, screen space reflections. And what we want to do is go Shift A and just go to empty and add in, or not empty, go to your lights, add in an area light, go G, Z and just move it up, add a light to your scene, come to your light settings, just increase the scale and increase the strength. Okay, just for now, and let's just quickly work on these materials. So what I'm going to do is grab this guy here, go to my materials, and this is the one that we call change, which is this yellow material, right? In the viewport, we made it yellow. So what I'm going to do here is come to this change material, and in my principal BSDF shader, I'm going to make it a yellow color. And what I want to do is whatever yellow I decide to do, I want to make sure I come to this hex, click on here and go Control C, so we can copy that value there. That's going to be important later. So now let's grab this ball over here, and this is the change to material. And what we want to do is grab this principal BSDF shader here, go Shift D, move it over, and we want to click on here, and right click, or just click on here, click on this hex code in here and go Control V and paste that material in. Then we can come here to the base color on the other one and make it whatever color we want. I'm going to go with something like a lime green. And then we want to mix these two. So what I'm going to do is go Shift A, search and get a mix shader, put it over here, plug this green one into the bottom, plug the yellow one into the top, and then plug this shader in here, the shader into the surface of the output shader. And if we were to go into our render view here, you're going to see if we drag this one all the way to 1, it's going to be green. If we drag it all the way to 0, it's going to be yellow. So what we want to do is make it all the way up to 1. And we also want to come down here, hover over here in the corner, drag up another tab. And this tab, we want to make a timeline. So let's drag our slider all the way to number 1 and then work our way through. So let's keep going. And we want this to remain at a value of 1 just till this guy touches that yellow. So let's keep moving up frame by frame. And in this case, it's going to be frame 26. So in frame 26, with this slider all the way up to 1, I'm going to hit I, hovering over it to insert a keyframe. And then what I'm going to do is on the next frame, maybe 2 or 3 frames up. I'm going to go I and insert, go I, not I, just drag this slider down to 0, and then hovering over here, hit I. And now it's going to be a value of 1. So let's have a look at that. So it's going to look, as soon as it touches that, it's going to look like it changed color. And that is all we have to do in there. So let's have a look over here and let's see what it looks like. Beautiful. I love that. That's looking really good. Now let's quickly add something to this floor. So I'm going to grab this floor here, go back into my shading, go to camera view, and let's just make something of this. So I'm going to go Shift A, search, type in Voronoi, grab the Voronoi texture, grab the color, plug it into the Principled BSDF shader. And what we want to do is go Shift A, search, and get a texture coordinate. Grab it, bring it over here, plug the object into the vector here. And then we'll go Shift A, search, and we want to type in color ramp. Get a color ramp node and place it in here. And then what we want to do is, I think, make this one. Which one did I make this again? I can't remember. You can make it whatever you want. I'm just going to keep trying some of these different ones. Maybe this one. Yeah, I might leave it at this one here. It looks pretty cool. And I'll grab this value here and I'm going to make it like a kind of like a blue. Grab this black value here and make it a little bit less dark and make it also like kind of a blue. And you can drag these colors in if you want to make the contrast a little bit higher. And you can grab the scale here and increase it. Just make it whatever you want to make it. This looks pretty cool. And you can also come here and make the floor roughness a little bit less. So you get a bit more of the reflection. And also what you can do is go to your world settings and get a HDRI. So I recommend you go to HDRI Haven or something like that. But I've got some of my own ones here. So I'm going to go to my environment texture here and just go open and just get one of my own HDRIs. And you can go look on the internet, there's tons of them, they're 100% free, but I would definitely recommend checking out HDRI Haven. So I'm going to come here to my strength and just type in 0.3 on that one. So now we've got that nice HDRI reflections. So yeah, that is looking pretty cool. We can leave the chrome as it is. I like these materials here. And yeah, that is just really cool. Let's give that a render. So what I'm going to do is go to my output settings, click on this little folder, go to my desktop or wherever I want to save it to, go to my file format, make it an FFmpeg, go to the encoding, make it a MP4 peg, and then go down to output quality and make it perceptually lossless. And now if you go render and render animation, it's going to render this to your desktop. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later for another tutorial.